All right, let's pick up our discussion from earlier about the Democrats' $2 trillion COVID relief bill that passed the House earlier today. Joining us now to discuss is Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz. Congressman, always good to see you. Welcome back.
Thanks for having me. It seems, Sean, that the $2 trillion COVID relief package is about neither COVID nor relief. It's about settling political scores. It's about creating new entitlement programs for illegal aliens. And in a very disappointing way, it's about ending some of the pro-life protections that we've relied on in law for generations of Republican and Democrat rule in the past in the Congress. So this is groundbreaking left-wing legislation. And here's the sad part. It's only the beginning. There is no real backstop to this Biden administration continuing to print more and more money. And eventually that inflation is really going to be harmful to some of our fellow Americans.
I couldn't agree with you more. I call it the non-COVID relief bill because it doesn't do that. Let me play for you what the leader of the House, Nancy Pelosi, Her Majesty, said about this bill. Take a listen.
It's a remarkable, historic, transformative piece of legislation which goes a very long way to crushing the virus and solving our economic crisis.
Do you think it's going to solve our economic crisis, or is it going to create an economic crisis?
Well, when I hear the speaker talk about this bill going a very long way, I hope that means there isn't going to be another bite at the apple coming very soon, because I'm already hearing from sources on Capitol Hill and in the Biden administration that they're looking at the next opportunity to advance the cause of socialism, sort of packaged up in gift wrapping that is COVID relief branded. But the reality is this is exactly what Democrat Whip Jim Clyburn said it would be. It's the utilization of the virus to achieve socialism and far left-wing reforms.
You know, Congressman, the media has played a huge part in this. They keep reporting that there's bipartisan public support. That's because they just tell you all the good stuff. They're not telling you about the pork that's in there. It's amazing how difficult it is to actually have people understand how negative this bill is and the impacts, the long-term impacts. Has it been frustrating to actually get out there and try to inform people when you're in the headwinds of the media and all the glowing remarks they've been giving on it?
No doubt. And I can understand why people would think that some stimulus to our fellow Americans would be popular. That's what's been accentuated. But remember, this bill spends hundreds of millions of dollars with globalist international organizations. It spends tens of millions of dollars on Native American language enhancements. Now, those may be good things. They're probably not. But either way, they deserve their own dignity. And what's unfortunate is we have this log rolling, this style of legislating where we can't take individual votes on the things that matter to our people and the things that only matter to the lobbyists and the special interests that are the real fuel behind this bad piece of legislation.
I honestly don't know what isn't in a $2 trillion bill. I think that would be the bigger thing. What didn't make it into it, and what special interest didn't get something? Because I don't know how you can spend $2 trillion and leave anybody out. But I want to turn the page for a second, because you've been on the show a bunch of times. And there is a question and a subject I never, ever would have ever associated with asking Matt Gaetz, and that has to do with Britney Spears. You have tweeted out a few times about free Britney Spears. I think you're getting to this bigger issue of conservatorship, but explain to me your interest in the issue.
Well, there are many Floridians who are victims of guardianship and conservatorship abuse. And when I saw the Britney Spears documentary, it really reminded me that one of the powers of a member of Congress is to convene people around issues where rights could potentially be violated. And so I think it would be an appropriate bipartisan use of the Judiciary Committee to bring in experts that might talk about circumstances where wards like Britney Spears aren't able to get married, aren't able to drive, aren't able to vote. And in an era where so much is so partisan, you would think that giving people the opportunity to rehabilitate and show their competency before a court would be something that could bring us together. I'm also a millennial and a huge Britney Spears fan. I am not ashamed about that at all. Her catalog is, frankly, a contribution to music that will be celebrated for quite some time. And her music videos kept everybody glued to MTV in this time before YouTube.
I remember. Maybe not a lot of the other viewers, but I do.
Well, I want to switch gears a little bit more now. Representative Jim Jordan and Rodney Davis recently sent a letter to the House asking that Newsmax actually be carried on the House cable system. It's one of the only ones that's not. Are you willing to weigh in on this and lend your support on behalf of your colleagues there to get Newsmax on the House TV channels?
Absolutely. Newsmax has talk that is the truth and has breaking news. Both of those things can be very threatening to folks in Congress. Matter of fact, I think most representatives would like fewer news channels, not more news channels, but we have a First Amendment, and we need more than just a legalistic view of the First Amendment. We need a culture of free speech and of the opportunity to have even news that some in power might not feel is very comfortable or very accommodating. That has to be part of the mosaic of the news experience. I'll tell you this, I watch Newsmax on the app. Newsmax has the most beautiful app in all of news. It is better than anyone else's, and I would encourage folks to use the app as well. But my boomers who are in Congress with me, they need it on the actual glass tube, and for them, we need Newsmax in the halls of Congress.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I want to get your take on one thing. I asked your colleague, Congresswoman Miller from Illinois, just a moment ago. There's this story out, and Marjorie Taylor Greene was down on the floor again today. Motion to adjourn, motion to this, to gum up the works of the House, to slow down the Democrats. What do you think about this tactic?
Marjorie Taylor Greene is a brawler, and I am here for it. When the Democrats stripped away her committee assignment, they made her one of the most powerful Republicans in Congress, because now the floor is Marjorie Taylor Greene's committee, and she's going to learn that process well. People forget about her. She's a very successful businesswoman. She understands process and structure, and she is going to be holding the Democrats' feet to the fire. They are going to be begging to put Marjorie Taylor Greene back on the Education and Labor Committee before this is done, and I am one of the big supporters of her effort to ensure that Democrats do not bring us on a slow walk to socialism and diminished American experiences.
All right, Congressman Matt Gaetz, Britney Spears fan. Thank you very much for weighing in, joining on so many key issues, including Newsmax, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Britney Spears, and the COVID bill. It's always a pleasure to have you, sir.
Thank you, guys.
All right.
Hi, Emma Reckenberg here. If you like this video, there's a whole lot more to see on Newsmax TV. You can watch for free right here on our YouTube live stream and be the first one here each time our experts break down real news. Just hit that subscribe button, ring the bell icon, and stay with us on America's fastest growing cable news channel, Newsmax TV.